What's going on, YouTubes? Time for another recap. FOMC today, but we knew this one was going to be a pretty tiny one, so we didn't really do too much planning. I had one little setup here. I wanted to see long. Of course, we work with over-unders here a lot, so there's no big deal with any trend at all for us. So we had an algo right here in the pre-market, high-low. I was looking for a support hold above for the long of 523, and I wanted to go see if QQQ could come tag that daily gap that we don't have any tags on. Now, this is still in play, but we had a lot of different things happen today, so let's talk about the predictions. Now, we made it out alive with about 1,500 green across all the top step accounts and a little bit in the big account. So regardless, just stacking up another green day. Now, the over-under is still placed here on the QQQ. We made a couple notes today from my chat. As we do, golden pockets are usually over-unders, right? So on trend, because we have a smaller FOMC today, we didn't really expect any kind of like crazy moves. Less than actually 0.3%. So with the algo pointing to the downside and our perfect little 1 minute gap here, I said watch for one of the fills. Now here's the big takeaway between the two fills. QQQ had a 1 minute gap at 518.32. Notice price action magneted down to the gap, right? Over under the algo. We say this all the time, right? And then we actually have another gap right now on SPY. It's looking to go down and fill it. And then not only QQQ, we had a 1 minute gap on, we had our friend here, SPY, with another one, 601.63. This is a 1 minute gap left open from yesterday, right? And we have a top gap as well. So let's talk about it real quick. If you go to the 1 minute chart, you can see the gaps I'm talking about in real time because we have one right here. And a lot of the time, we fill these same day, but if we do not fill them same day, the next day has a high probable chance. I'll tell you what's even higher probable, multiple gaps. So if QQQ is showing us a gap on the bottom side under price action current and SPY as well, right? This was the gap right here from yesterday, 601.63. We had two gaps, one on QQQ, one on SPY. Here it is from yesterday. Here it is in today's price action. So coming to the downside, which again, we wanted to see no gap fill yesterday, which no big deal, a gap filled, but that set us up for bearish territory because we didn't have a gap magnet anymore. The gap had filled on SPY. We're not worried about the QQQ gap as much. SPY is always the better market, okay? So pointed to the downside here, we had a couple different things that were going to tell us that we were just going to continue to that downside. So you'll be able to see here in real time where that algo fill is on that 1 minute gap system here. And that's going to be most likely filled by the time we're done with this video, but as we noted, 601.63 gap, QQQ gap, okay? Both of those 1 minute gaps left open from yesterday's consolidation price action that squeezed up, slammed into that gap fill, lost it here, were still all part of the plan, okay? So we will be coming back long, in my opinion, to tag 605.50. Now, I don't know if that's going to be a GDP, PCE, or after. Doesn't matter to me. We're going to wait for the confirmations, as always, to play it. But if we look at this daily chart here, the gap fill that we had hit yesterday was just this gap. It is not the deep seep gap, right? So we talked about having two gaps here. The one right here, 121, 122. That was the gap. Now, we did push up and fill that gap to the penny, right? So again, we could come back down. But a couple things kind of stood out for the magnets on the Fibonacci, right? Not only is this still a higher low in sequence from the deep steep gap on the daily chart, right? We held 599.65, we held 600, exactly what we still needed to hold here. Big psychological level we talked about. We can delete this from our short call yesterday. And then this deep seat gap isn't till up here in the big dash gold line, 606.79. So we have another gap to worry about, obviously over this one here from 21 and 22 days. Now, we're holding the 10 SMA daily as well. So let's look at what we had to do for today's golden pocket setup. So as I do a lot of the time, let me finish this part right here. Thursday last week, the golden Fibonacci you see from the high low pointed to the downside. We said it was going to bounce the 423. It hit this in pre-market right here. And that was the long. That was the ending of the DeepSeek rally. Then we set it over under 598.63. It walks itself up. These Fibonacci's tend to walk itself up. Over under 602.88 goes to 605.50 because none of these fibs were tagged. Fibs were created on Thursday. Fibs are pointed to the downside. The fibs were not tagged, not tagged, not tagged, not tagged until the deep seep gap hit pre-market. We still don't have a tag here. Pre-market, we bounced down here. You can see that algo that we have down here as well. And then when it pushed back up, I said long to 598.63 because we needed a magnet from Thursday's fibbies, okay? So, okay, back to what we did for today. Now, the regular setup, like always, you should be doing every day from my big live lesson. Please watch it. Watch it twice if you don't understand it. 3 times, ask questions, right? Deep seek gap down yesterday and today. What do I usually do? I fib out the high lows just like we did today in the chat. And we use the over unders accordingly. So yesterday's low, yesterday's high, and the fibbies is the golden pocket. Anything over under the top, yesterday's highs, we have a chance to magnet back down. Anything over, we look for extension 1618, which means if we were above yesterday's highs, we'd be looking for the long side to push back up over 605.38. We would leave the golden pocket alone. But what did we say in the beginning of the video? We had multiple 1-minute gaps to the downside, which create magnets, all thanks to this little consolidation on both SPY and QQQ. So I wanted a little pop and then drop into the FOMC, which no big deal. We didn't get it. We over under the algo anyway in Qs and rode it to the downside a bit. No big deal. But biggest takeaway, yesterday's highs, right? We lost it. And where did it go? Right to the golden pocket for FOMC and did nothing else. So these fibbed high lows from the prior day, they become magnets, right? All the time. So you can see this big resistance check here at yesterday's highs, started losing in pre-market and did nothing but lose. And as we say, we like to watch the VWAP channels, right? So notice price action only came above VWAP for very minimal time today and got stuck in the bottom channel. So you'd be watching anything from the -2 deviation in the blue dash line VWAP to the purple, which is just a standard VWAP for price action, right? So with that being said, that is how we got that short bias. And of course, because we are inside yesterday's daily candle, we go to the golden pocket. So trade day done. We had that short side bias hit, and we still made it out green. Very beautiful for the over-under level. One key takeaway here, I'll show you guys on the volatility index, because we did talk a little bit about this as well. My MacBook hates, I found a workaround here. I thought I found a workaround. My MacBook hates thinkorswim, so... Okay, there's one. Can we get it? Hey, there we go. One big takeaway here this morning, too, for that short, I just want to point out, is that we did leave multiple gaps, again, on the 5-minute chart on the volatility indexes open. These are algorithmic fills. These patterns have magnets. We call them first tags. This is literally the entire base of my 14-plus year strategy, okay? So as you see the volatility index come down, we were pretty close to the -1 standard deviation in the yellow. Real familiar, right? Because I said, hey, daily and weekly consolidation right here on the -1 daily and weekly standard deviations, not just a 5-day chart like we're looking at here, weekly and daily, right? And that's before the deep seek, because VIX was just consolidating on massive support. Intraday helps as well. So again, pre-market was on -1 support, looking to go up. And yesterday we did leave these gaps open, so VIX could come up to what? 1809 is what we said to look for from my chat. 1809 high for the VIX. Algos, dead up, right on it, right? Right for the FOMC algo. We did leave a gap here. We left 2 here. So a lot of these gaps, I'm not going to show you exactly how I used every one for the short this morning. I'm giving out too much info. Top channel RSI on the volatility index, top channel MAC, uptrend the whole way. Nothing was saying overly long. We could have got a pop to short, which is something I definitely looked for, but we didn't have any carry through. So no big deal. Still made it out green per the usual. And that's pretty much it. We do have a gap left open just by a smidge there as well. If you're watching the top fill here, right, real close. We left it by about a penny, $18.09. So the VIX will keep this one on, and I will delete the other ones that were already filled, where we said we were going to come up to here, 1686 and change. Now, for the remainder, I don't know when we're going to come back and tackle that 1809. We can delete this gap as well because we filled all those with this little algo blip candle up. We did leave 1 penny right here. Now, those are a little suspect, so we don't put too much weight onto them, but we're going to leave it on there just so we know that there actually is an open. The algos could act as this was closed within a penny. It might not even be a penny. It might just register like that on the chart. So when they're that close, just be careful with them. Don't put all your pennies into that working out as a no tag, okay? Last but not least, I do want to bring this over as a prediction that we did as well. If I can get this MacBook to carry my chart over. Is this because it might be because it's maximized here. I'm definitely tech savvy, as you can tell. Bam! So the SPY on the 5-minute chart as well. we had a no tag anchor. Okay. What is a no tag? First tag, algo, magnet. You hear me blabbing about it 24/7. Well, let's get into it. SPY had QQQ. Why are we on SPY? They actually both had it, but there we go. QQQ had a better looking one. Okay. And I do no tags. When we put an anchor VWAP down and the entirety of the day does not hit. So we're talking yesterday, right? I picked a fib support here and we put an anchor on yesterday's low. That's all that is. Yesterday's lows. Anchor VWAP. As the anchor calculates throughout the day, the price action never came back to it, right? We put one little anchor VWAP there. Price action, no shot, right? So it goes into after hours, pre-market, and then the next day. Again, why I called from my chat, if we stay under the opening anchor, we're going down to this anchor. What do we do for first tag bounces here in our class? Well, we drop it, pound into it. That's the first tag right here. And the slip, if you're in my chat, you know exactly what I'm talking about at QQQ. And then we had a long. Look at this top down right here. If you zoom in real close, you notice the top down of the day, which is just the opening candle's top anchor to the down side. That's what I mean by that. Had no tag. What do we talk about on this channel? Shying on algorithms, needing absolute first tags before you guys are clicking button on trades. Actual tags, okay? Wait. I'd rather miss it than risk it is the motto. So look at this top down to the bottom. And what do we got? First tag, our anchor from yesterday. First time price action sees that anchor, shoots up, right? And it's a massive support. It's right here. It's not right here. You might think it's right here, but it's not. It's a shy, just like this scam right here. Look real close. Is that a tag? No, it's not. Be patient, okay? These are also not tags. So this is the first tag, and this is the first tag. You can play the opposite moves on first tags with a great statistical advantage. Nothing is 100% in the market, but at least we can get a edge, right? So the first tag, it slipped past the anchor. This was a long scalp. And then as you see it consolidate and hold the long, it pushes back up, finally breaks out, and first tag's the top anchor. What do we do? Short it, obviously. First tag of the day, okay? First tag, beautiful. Obviously into the FOMC. I probably would have got it a little earlier than noon there because of the FOMC data. Goes a little bonkers. We knew it wasn't going to be all that big today, but enough is enough, right? That's a lot on NQ. So if any of these strategies resonate with you, you want to learn them, you want to trade with me live, we stream this live every day, okay? Monday through Friday. Link is in the description if you want to join us. If not, we'll see you guys on the next YouTube video. Take care, trade safe, stay curious.